again. My name is Imani Latif, creator of Peep Game Comics. You're watching the Black Comics Experience, presented by Peep Game Comics, exclusively here on the Experience Comic Book Shopping Experience. Our last and final guest of the day is Miss Micheline Hess, comic book creator. Hello, can you see? Oh, we're almost there. She is the creator of Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf. That's available on Peep Game Comics. That's very popular there. Also, she's popular for. She's also okay, and she's also popular for another title that's available on Peep Game Comics in digital format. And she is. I'll put it up for everybody. And hopefully we can get her on in just a second here. She's very popular in terms of digital art, and she does a lot of work in 3D. So hopefully we'll be able to share some of that work this evening. And
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
We're gonna work it out. So we're doing this virtually because she basically works in a 3D format. Can you explain exactly what we're seeing here?
Yes. So right now we're inside an application, a VR application called Adobe Medium. Well, actually it was Oculus Medium, but Adobe bought them out. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And so what it allows you to do is actually sculpt in clay virtually. So what I'm going to be doing today is a bust, hopefully. I like fantasy art, so I wanted to try and do something for fantasy.
Okay.
And you can watch me do that. And Imani, you can ask me questions about comics or what I'm doing, my process. If people have questions and things like that, I'll be more than happy to answer. I just have to adjust my visor here a little bit because I'm fogging up. Sorry.
No problem. And you can set everything, like you actually have brown hands in this thing. I'm amazed by that.
Yeah, an avatar. So let me show you what I look like. Oh, maybe I can't show you what I look like. So where's the camera? I don't even know. Camera. Here, boy. Oh, there it is. Can you see me?
Yes. I see the camera.
See my head?
Not yet. I see the camera.
Yeah, maybe that's not working. All right, never mind. Next time.
No. I was definitely told to. I gotta make a habit to make sure that the creators introduce themselves and what they're known for. I get so comfortable, with the guests because I know of quite a few of them. So, can you introduce yourself for the audience?
Yes, I can. Hi, I'm Micheline Hess. I am the creator of Malice in Ovenland, which is the Adventure Kids comic. And I also did Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf, as well as the Anansi Kids Club and the All Saints Day Adventure. So I like doing adventure comics for kids. Although I haven't done anything comic-y in a little while. It's been really distracting because ever since I discovered 3D, I've kind of been all in. So I've been trying to find ways to create, to I guess learn ways that I can take what I'm learning in 3D and make it something that I could also use to tell stories, whether it's by animation or I don't know, audio, working while I'm talking while I'm sculpting or something like that.
So this is a now?
So yeah, this is called Medium by Adobe, and it's a VR program. So you need a VR headset and a PC to run it. I was trying to resist going towards the dark side of PCs for a little while, but eventually, I guess in order to really be able to take advantage of 3D stuff, you really kind of have to do you really kind of have to have a PC. Macs can kind of handle it, like a really high powered Mac can handle it, but yeah, if you really want to be able to like not fight all the time and everything, you kind of need a PC for that.
Okay. Now this is amazing. So, do you see this as the future of storytelling in a way, or do you just like you're just a fan of the medium in and of itself?
It's funny. I've been wanting to learn 3D for a long time. About it was that the interface of 3D software just really intimidated me. It's almost like looking at like a control panel for a plane. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this? What does that do? So,
right.
I when I discovered that I could do this kind of stuff, it was really freeing because it's more tactile. Obviously you're not touching real clay, but you don't have the interface there, or rather you have an interface, but it's very different. So right now what I'm doing is I'm doing what's called blocking in.
Okay.
It's a good thing to do before you establish detail, is by kind of getting your forms together and knowing where everything's going to sit, because that's the underpinning of the whole sculpt. And if that's not set up right, it's very hard to go back in and change that once you've gotten much farther. So right now I'm just kind of laying down the base shapes. And it's it's mirrored. So what I do on one side, I do on the other, and it's a great way to maintain symmetry.
Man, it's like you can't see me, but I'm like mesmerized. I'm gawking at the screen here.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
No, it's fine. But it's funny because when I see your work and I know that this is the medium that you're working in, I'm always imagining you in your home with the Oculus thing on your face. It's like, oh, she's working in this virtual realm. It's always kind of cracks me up when I think about it.
Yeah, it's really kind of nice, just because it blocks everything out. You know what I mean? And it carries over to your mental state. At least it does for me. So, things that are bothering me, things that are on my mind, different stresses of the daily world, they all kind of tend to disappear a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of just kind of setting up where I'm going to have everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically just like clay, right?
Yeah, it's a lot like clay. It behaves very much like that, except you don't need water or clay. Just electricity.
This seems like an extension of what you do a lot, in terms of we were just talking about Diary of a
Mad Black Werewolf.
Black werewolf. And I know that you did that digitally in Procreate, right?
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like you've been working in a digital platform, for some time. This seems like an extension of that.
Yeah, it almost does seem kind of like a natural evolution. It's not what I anticipated. I first got into VR because of a program that was put out by Google called Tilt Brush, and they've unfortunately since decommissioned the application, so they're not supporting it anymore. But what's been really interesting to see, as a side note, is that they released the source code, and so like the Tilt Brush community has kind of picked it up and run with it. And now you have the ability to like create your own brushes, and it's really what started out initially as a real heart attack inducing move has created a really nice kind of shift in the community where everyone is kind of contributing now, and making it even better than it was before.
Wow. Before I forget, and before Victor gets angry at me, I was just pitching an idea, which is technically right up your alley because you do a lot of horror and you do it very well.
Thank you.
I had this idea that what would be a hot book would be a Black Vampirella type character.
Oh yeah.
And immediately said, you would be perfect for a storyline like that. And I was like, yeah, that's probably right, because based on what you did with Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf, which is the
I that was the first foray I made into horror, and I was kind of surprised because I wasn't sure what would happen. I just knew that I wanted to do something that was very different and not as kid friendly. I wanted to do something that was gory and was I'm decreasing the resolution there, by the way.
Gotcha.
Something that was free and really let me kind of explore not just my feelings about what's been going on with like police brutality, and Karens all over the damn place, but also to really be able to get in there and really draw. There was some time, because I did it on my iPad. I could work, in a mobile way. So I'd be on the train there, like drawing the viscera of somebody who just got disemboweled or whatever, and people are sitting next to me like, what the hell is that? And, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to draw the spleen now.
It's so detailed, right? You have,
yeah. So that was,
yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. There were some pages where I was like, man, she definitely had to do some research to get that intestine to look right.
The really scary thing is I did very little research.
Yeah, it is scary. Hey, we got a question here. This seems like great for students to experiment at lower costs. My daughter will be a freshman in college this fall for a BFA, and a VR setup might be cheaper over time than clay, oil, paint, etc. Any tips for students to get started?
Yeah. So the really nice thing about working in VR is that you don't need to have the clay, like you were saying. What was I going to say? The thing that with the Oculus Quest is really nice is that you don't need a PC to run things like Tilt Brush and Gravity Sketch, which is something else I've been using a lot lately. That's more of a 3D poly modeling tool. So it's not like sculpting. It's more like working in vertexes and meshes and things like that.
Right.
The thing about this particular program, though, is that, and the other thing I wanted to add is that the Oculus Quest is actually one of the less expensive headsets out there.
Okay.
I think the Oculus Quest 2, which I don't have, but is the next iteration of this hardware, is like $300. But in order to run the software, you'll need a PC, because this will not work on a Mac. See it, optimized maybe gaming or something like that. that will allow you to kind of have the power to be able to push all these voxels around.
Okay.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. What's the time, by the way?
5:20.
Okay, I got to speed it up. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, that's so that's a yeah. I mean, that's a really great way to explore the creativity in a way that doesn't involve having to have a studio. As far as painting, if you're purely considering working in the digital in the painting in the 2D space, I would actually recommend maybe considering investing in an iPad. It really depends on what you want to achieve, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm just laying the groundwork for some braids.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, if you want to do painting, that's my cat. Then yeah, that might be an iPad might be better. Something like Procreate is really nice because it allows you to emulate a lot of different kinds of mediums without having to have all of those mediums. So, you know, you can work in colored pencil, you can work in ink, you can work in watercolor, you can emulate all of those things. And it's a very true emulation. And there's also a lot of other apps out there that support this kind of thing. ArtRage is a really good one where you can even emulate the type of canvas you're working on, you know. Okay. You know, if you're doing oil paint, and the thing that's nice about ArtRage is that you can also sorry.
No,
you can also emulate oil paint. You know, you can mix the paints and they'll behave in a way that's very true. You know what I'm saying? Right. So if you're working in like watercolor, you can mix the colors. You know, you can lay one color down on another and they'll mix and they'll behave the way that watercolors behave. And the same thing with oils and the acrylics that they emulate in that app as well.
Yeah, I was it was a toss up for me between the Wacom One and the iPad. I went with the Wacom One this time.
Yeah.
And I really like it. But I use Clip Studio Paint.
Yes, that Clip Studio Paint really. I think they did something very smart in creating a mobile version. You know, I'm still kind of blown away by how they were able to shoehorn all of that functionality onto an iOS, and I think it's for Android too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really impressive.
I'm not sure about as far as Android. I'm not sure about as far as Android tablets. I use a PC for.
Okay. So then maybe I don't really know.
But yeah, Studios that's the go-to I usually recommend for students too. But what I'm noticing too is that the technology and the programs are fairly inexpensive for students just to just to jump on board and start experimenting in digital.
Yeah, I agree. They're a lot less expensive now, and Procreate is not that expensive, and the amount of support, you can get brushes from Procreate. Sorry, I'm going to do this 800 times in a row.
Yeah, I know how it goes.
The community for that is really great too. They have a lot of really people who are always making. Yeah, here we go again. A lot of people who are making brushes and stuff like that. Stop it. All right, this looks a little weird.
Now, what do you like about fantasy and horror storytelling in terms of the comics?
It's funny. Years ago, I went with a friend of mine to see Lord of the Rings, and I was familiar with I'd watched the Rings animations, The Hobbit. But it's kind of depressing in a way, particularly I think for people of color, because it's like, the only people of color they have in this world are like these, these savage beasts. The fucking sorry,
Right.
excuse me, Urukai. Have like dreadlock type hair and all of this. It's a very white movie, and of course, it's a very white book too. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So, oh. So it made me feel like. All right, I'm compressing 2 layers now.
Okay.
It made me feel like I wish there was fantasy that was inclusive for Black audiences, that showed them, and not just as like nefarious figures, but to like the concept of like a dark wizard, a black wizard, not necessarily implying evil. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
Or dark elves. Something
Mhm.
like that. I think would be really great.
No, I loved your little short stories that you used to tell. You used to draw like a Procreate drawing, and then you have a whole backstory behind it. You
Yeah.
dystopian postal workers and
Yeah.
just sci-fi cowgirls and all this different. You have this way of like mashing up all these storylines and creating these like really short narratives without even investing a whole bunch of time in an actual comic. It's like you just the illustration alone told so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a place where my head naturally goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wish that there was more of that. It's Lovecraft country. I was really happy to see that. But at the same time, I think it would also be really cool to have stories that don't necessarily find themselves rooted in oppression. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where characters are empowered, like at the beginning. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or they didn't emerge from trauma. You
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's the kind of thing that I would really love to see. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Now, have you been able to, um, I don't know, monetize this? Are you doing a lot of this stuff for for other clients and things like that?
No, not really. Uh there's a part of me that's a little afraid to do that because like I've done one job where I was designing characters,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem or the fear I have is that uh it's going to become work. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
And once it becomes work, it's no longer fun in a way. It's like right
Exactly.
now, I'm just kind of enjoying exploring,
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing, how much I can learn, because there's a lot that I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and there's different things I have to learn if I want to try and take what I'm doing even further.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so right now I'm just kind of on a learning journey, I guess. I'm just exploring and learning other kinds of software and being like, oh, that's nice, and seeing what works with what, and at some point I'll get to like things like rigging and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think for now I'm not really looking to monetize. Um, I think it's an easy place to go to in your head, like, oh, I can make a lot of money off of this. But
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you're at that point, you're not necessarily doing your own thing. You're doing what somebody else wants. You know what I mean?
True. Yes. Exactly.
So right now, it's like I just want to do what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
Is it something about the traditional comic book format that you found restrictive? Because even what people will notice in Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf, that's like, single pages. It's not your traditional comic book format.
Yeah, with that, I wanted to do Inktober, but the problem with Inktober for me is that a lot of times I end up slacking and then I fall off. So I figure if I made a story that was based on creating an image around each prompt word,
Right.
I could it would be a way to help me kind of stay in the game and stay focused and stay interested. So what I was doing was using the prompt words and then creating a new image every day. And at that time, I was out of work, so I had a lot more time on my hands to do stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, I had to keep it very tightly scoped because if I wanted there to be a story and an image every day, it had to be, I couldn't like wander off into like backstory land and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
It would have to stay very focused. So that's why that story is one page per,
page.
per
one panel per page.
Yeah, one panel per page and one page per day, because that's what I was doing.
If anybody, when you see this artwork, the idea that you even did that in just one day, each page one day, is just phenomenal in and of itself. You put a lot of people to shame in terms of that, the way that goes, as far as
Thank you.
I mean seriously, it's like that means that you made an entire book in 30 days.
Yeah. And that was really unexpected, because so like I was saying before, part of what I wanted to do was just explore my feelings. And and there was a lot of moments where I was like, oh my God, this is going to cause a lot of problems. People aren't going to like this, or what are they going to say about this? It's going to make waves. But it turns out that it resonated really well with a lot of people. So that was ultimately when I decided that I was going to make it, a collect out of it. But up until that point, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. It was just something I was having fun with and exploring a different way of storytelling and getting my feelings out as well about, what's been going on, because, it just seems like you look in the news every day and someone's being killed. And, it was just, what was that boy's name?
Tamir Rice.
No.
I mean, that's the thing. It's so many.
Yeah, right. No, he played the violin. It was just his birthday.
Oh yeah, I can't think of his name, but yeah, he was stopped by police. He was,
and they shot him up with the damn horse tranquilizer.
Right.
And you see the way other parts of the world react to that,
Right.
and they're like, they gave him what?
Right.
That's what we give our horses here in whatever part of the world. We don't give that to humans. It's not safe to give to humans. So I mean, it's just that whole thing. It's like, and when you listen to the audio of that, you hear these officers talk about, oh, he's so strong, and it's like, no, the whole notion the whole notion of this, seeing black people as like this sort of superhuman creature. You know what I'm saying? They barely seeing black people as human, and don't give them the same allowances to be human. So it's really frustrating, and
Elijah McClain. That was
Elijah McClain. Yes, thank you. Yeah, they killed him, and these guys never did a single day of time. They did, they don't care. They've gone on with their lives. It's just this kind of thing, Botham Jean, the guy was literally in his house. Like I could, so that kind of stuff.
Just help people understand what the storyline is, because I keep forgetting that everybody don't know everything that I know, obviously. But Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf is a story about a woman who belongs to a clan of werewolves that's um, basically enacting justice against finding justice against police brutality, racism, um, and basically it's definitely horrific to say the least. So, but that's my synopsis. Do you like to break down that story?
Yeah, I mean that was a good synopsis. Uh, it's basically a love letter to like Black rage, and the fact that there's just so many instances when in hearing about these things and seeing them, there's just this really overriding feeling of powerlessness. Like what are you going to do? You know what I mean? These people are weaponized and they don't care. And you look at what happened at the Capitol back in January, and then so many of these people are cops. And then you see, they're talking about on the news, and it's like, wow, it could be that these people are in cahoots with all of these white nationalists. Oh my goodness. It's like, really?
Mhm.
Really?
It's kind of sad that we're in this moment where such things like that happen, and at the same time, such things inspire us to do some of our best work. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
not to say that that was your best work. I'm just saying, just
No, I feel you. I mean, yeah, that definitely came from a place. Oh, once I started drawing, I was like, wow, it just kept kind of spilling out.
right.
So yeah, like I had a lot to say. Um, and yeah, it felt good to be able to get that out.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like you turn on the news and it's like, wow, here's more material.
Right. I saw you trying. Went back to that well again with the next Inktober.
Oh yeah. That was a AR. I called it AR-13.
Yeah, that thing was.
And that whole story behind it as well. But then I fell off, and we were still all coronafied,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
at that point I kind of had to give myself permission to fall off,
No.
because there was just a lot of other stuff going on, and
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'll come back to it. I have the files,
Mhm.
and I'll revisit it, but I had to kind of also be kind with myself.
Mhm. No, that's been a recurring theme. Is sort of it's like I've been talking a lot about how creators have they stay in the game, so to speak. It's not
Yeah.
much about okay, this is going to be the thing that's going to make me win, as opposed to like I'm going to you're in this this virtual space. This is keeping you in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I was just talking about how instead of having to I don't know how to else to put it, win all the time. It's about staying in the game.
Oh yeah. Wow, what the heck is that? um yeah, that's that's a difficult thing to fight sometimes, because it's like you see people blowing up and getting up and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel happy for them, but then there's a part of that's like, why aren't you doing this or that?
Right.
uh and I finally found myself in a place where it's like, I'm gonna burn out
Mm-hmm.
if I keep thinking like that. Like, there's got to be things that you do just to do them,
Yeah.
and with the understanding that maybe they'll become something amazing, and maybe they won't,
Mm-hmm.
but do they make you happy? Do they bring you like peace, and joy? Do they help you deal with your feelings? There's so many other things you can get from um, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, what am I doing? I'm going to start painting. So you can also paint, do like vertex painting in this software, which is really nice. And it's profoundly satisfying, I got to say.
So how much, I know you release a lot of content online, but how much more are you keeping private? Like, do you like have catalogs and stuff?
Right now it's kind of a split between stuff that I post and stuff that kind of dies in utero, so to speak.
Right.
Either because I don't like the way it's going. Like it's there's times when when you're working on stuff and you feel like there's always a part where you're working on it and and it's still like forming, and if you stick with it, you can actually get something really good. But then I also kind of had to learn, okay, sometimes if you stick with it, no matter what you do, it's going to look horrible. Like it's just not going to turn out the way you want it, So that's just something that I've been trying to kind of exercise, is like knowing when to let go of stuff, knowing when to sorry. Okay, so the other thing you can do as a side note is you can also change the material. So this is diffuse. This has less roughness. I'm just going to turn up the roughness a little bit. Actually, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that for her hair. Yeah, that's basically it. Like I have a lot of like, malformed things in the back in the box that are like, why don't you love me, mommy? And I'm just like, hush now. So yeah, they're there, and sometimes I come back. What's really nice is that the things you learn from one thing you can actually apply to other things. So I'm finding as I learn things, as I teach myself about things like Blender, which is a free 3D software program for Mac and PC. The different things I learn, I can apply towards stuff that I put down initially, which is really great. This is metal. Just gonna make it a little more rough. So yeah, there's things there. They're there.
I'm just giving you. I think we got about 16 minutes, 17 minutes.
16, you said?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Giving you a timestamp there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, this is awesome.
Thank you.
Because you have a lot of if you can find Micheline on a lot of different platforms. Actually, you can find it not just on social media, Mishmash Arts, but also you have a Vimeo page too, right?
Vimeo, although Vimeo. I also have YouTube. So Mishmash Arts is on YouTube. I've been actually putting most of my stuff there these days.
Okay. So some of her Procreate process art is like some of the best I've seen.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's awesome. That's definitely the gold standard when it comes to that program for sure. You've definitely mastered that. And Mishmash Arts on all platforms. And also you can find Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf on Peep Game Comics. And I might have sold out of it today because like you're the last person, but I promise you it's been selling all weekend.
Sweet.
And it's because not just me, but several other creators that have been on here have mentioned that book and how much we love that book. So it's definitely it resonated with a lot of the right people for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, we are always referencing that book. At least I know I am, because I reference it because it's not just because of the content, but I'm also referencing it because of how you approach the medium. You know, how you stepped outside the traditional comic book medium to tell this story, and um, digitally, because you shared this every day of Inktober for 30 days. So like this story, there are people were following this story for 30 straight, 30 straight days before you even put it in print.
Yeah. I was really amazed by the response I got. I was kind of blown away by it because I just wasn't sure like how people were going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is why I'm fighting the urge to actually delete this entire thing right now.
No.
But yeah, like I wasn't sure what was going to happen, with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was really happy to see that people were feeling what I was saying, and not just being like, "Girl, what the hell?"
No, they came back and bought the book, right?
Yeah, they came back and bought the book, and well, actually, I mean, a lot of people were like, "What, are you going to make a book out of this? Like, what are you going to do with this?"
And you're like, girl.
Um, and yeah, I was like, "Wow, well, maybe I should,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should try something."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I decided I would collect everything, and that was like a whole other experience, but totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that I did that. Um, oops. I'm really glad that I did that, and I'm really glad that people enjoyed it, and understood where I was coming from, because it hits a lot of different points,
Mm-hmm.
There's like the Karens, and then there's the cops, and then there's like Seneca Village, and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And there were a lot of times where I would have to stop and like dip out and do some research real quickly.
Okay.
I mean, like really quickly, like while I was drawing really quickly, and Seneca Village is really sad. It was predominantly black, and they initially were attempting to buy people out, but then there were people who wanted to stay because that was their home. And when they refused to move, the mayor gave orders to bludgeon them out of the city. Like that was literally what he said to the cops, like bludgeon them out. So, once again, like, oops.
No, as we were talking earlier, I was talking with John. It's sort of like when we talk about inspiration or how to get out of a creative rut. I was talking about the fact that pressure actually, pushes us to create and invent, and sadly, some of the things that we've experienced as a people has actually pushed us to invent some of the most amazing things.
Yeah, that pressure is very interesting. I'm been trying to take a page from the book of like Winnie the Pooh lately.
Okay.
And I've gotten to a place where, I I want to work hard,
Yes.
but at the same time, I just don't know. Like it's a fine line between working hard and like killing yourself. I feel like,
Oh yes, yes,
you
absolutely.
know, like when I finished Malice in Ovenland, I felt like Rocky, like after he won like the battle,
Mhm.
and his face is all like, like someone used it to tenderize meat. Um, and I was happy that I did it, but at the same time, I was just so exhausted. So it's hard to know like where to be with that,
Mhm. Yes.
especially these days, because I feel like even though there's like this whole vaccine for COVID and everything,
Mhm.
of course, there's a lot of underserved communities that aren't getting it.
Mhm.
A lot of black folk that aren't getting it, a lot of brown people that aren't getting it. And it's just a lot. Like there's just a lot, you know.
Yes.
So it's like, for me, it's also been trying to find the line between like having electricity and paying for Wi-Fi, you know, and being able to do all that stuff, and then also having time where I can, you know, explore different things and you know, play and things like that. Like I've been a lot more forgiving when it comes to that kind of thing. And then, you know, you have, you know, taking care of family and things like that. So I mean, like, you know, 3 cheers for Zoloft, but yeah, I think it's definitely important to, I guess the balance is hard, you know,
Yeah.
and I think in a lot of ways I'm very lucky because I have freelance work that allows me to work from home. I'm not in a situation where I actually have to get off my butt and go in someplace and
Oh,
deal
okay.
with, you know, other people, you know, all this other stuff.
I mean, that's helpful for the as far as raising kittens. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been raising cats, so I can't even imagine what parents are dealing, you know, with kids these days. It must be so like some kind of dystopian thing, you know. I mean, I guess there's parents that get to spend more time with their kids now, but if you're somebody who actually has to get up and go out, good lord, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And then that like takes you to another place because it's like I read this thing the other day about these robot dogs that they have wandering around the Bronx now. And it's like, how many people need to have someone help their kids with their homework or give them access to like decent internet? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or a place where they can go outside of their home where it's calm and there's no, you know, craziness going on. Like that just it's like stuff like that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know exactly what you mean.
You know, Boston Dynamics, man, they're like the next Wayland Utani, you know?
Yeah. Oh, those
They're,
are those are people that made the dogs, right?
yeah, Boston
Right.
Dynamics, all the dancing robots and stuff. And
Yeah.
even, you know, initially when I first saw that stuff, I had to, you know, I was like, oh, that's so good, a robot. Yeah. But it's like, man, that's scary.
Mhm.
That's really scary.
We got
But
8 minutes.
8 minutes, thank you.
Yep. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing this with us.
Oh yeah, I'm really glad I was able to get it to work.
No, no. I mean, I figured it would work. We put it together. It's like
So yeah,
I'm bobbing my head right to left as you're doing this. It's weird. It's like it's as if I'm in this with you. And
awesome.
it's funny. Like I'm literally like I'm going right to left. I say, okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay,
I
I'm
don't know
doing
what
no
I'm gonna.
work, but I'm participating.
That's. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these eyes.
Yeah, you.
What were you gonna say?
No, it just reminds me of how like most artists typically work. Like they save the eyes for last.
Yeah,
At
that's.
least I try to.
I think it's for the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like. Oh, I know what I'll do.
Oh, here we go. The piece de resistance. Here we go.
No, not nearly. But yeah, I mean that's the thing that I love about VR so much is that it's been so therapeutic. You
Mhm.
know, ugh, you just kind of disappear, and
Yeah.
you know you're there working on whatever, and before you know it, you know it's dark out, and you forgot to eat. And I kind of like getting lost like that.
4 minutes, but I think we're gonna make the finish line here.
Damn. Dun, 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 dun. Does anyone have any questions they would want to ask?
I don't see any more questions.
It's all quiet.
Yeah, I know that the interface feels a lot like, well, not visibly, but it seems like I guess in practice it feels like a lot like your typical digital platform with layers and
my hand is shaking.
layers.
Yeah, it has layer support, and you can change layers. You can move the layers. You don't necessarily have to do things on a mirror, plane like this. You can actually move things around, but it just allows me to be able to work both sides at the same time. In a situation where there's not a lot of time.
Yeah, my producer just jumped in. It's like, I think we don't have any questions because we're all mesmerized by what's going on. We just,
awesome.
They're like me. They're glaring at the screen here.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And like I was saying, in working with this and working with things like Blender and Gravity Sketch, one thing can teach you a lot about another thing.
Yes.
Which I really love.
Yes, I definitely found that to be true about if my experience in Adobe helped me to, tackle Clip Studio Paint and all that other kind of stuff. So for sure.
Yeah, it's great. All right, I'm still not liking these eyes at all. Now she looks like she's on crack. Okay. I might have to come back to that later.
All right. We're coming up on it. We got yes, Marcus Roberts is definitely mesmerized. My friend Marcus Roberts. I am mesmerized too. 90 seconds.
All right.
That's
I'm
enough.
going to try and see if I could do a lathe. Hang on a minute. How do I get that to work? Oh, too fast. All right.
All right. Now we got to give her a name. What's her name?
I'm Finna.
I'm Finna.
I don't know.
That's perfect. Thanks, Micheline, for helping.
Thank you very much. No Rona. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll hit you up later. I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yes, you were watching Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics on The Experience. Please help us hitting the share, follow us. You can follow Peep Game Comics at PG Comics with an X, and you can follow the Experience at _EXP on all platforms, social and digital. And I am out. Thank you guys for an awesome weekend. Stay tuned for more programming.